Alright, we're watching Cowski, who's playing Anna on Eichenwalde. I think this is gold on PC, would be my guess. So they start by sharing an image of their progression kind of over time in terms of like MMR, and they climbed as high as plat, and they dropped back down to gold, and they're like, hey, kind of what's going on here, right? I thought I did decent on my Ana, especially with that win streak that finally got me to plat, but then without me changing my playstyle, I'll go back to where I was. I know people get better in general and all that, but man, does it suck. And what's next up? If anyone can give me tips on how to not be utterly shit with these maps, I would really appreciate it. And then Eichenwalde specifically, attack was decent, but I think the problem is on defense. Overall, I recognize my cooldown usage, my target prioritization, positioning all need work. However, I can't really tell what I'm doing wrong with these maps in particular. It's funny because I would have been happy to do a Flashpoint map. The thing is that you didn't actually share a Flashpoint. So they shared a Flashpoint map that they won on. So, like, less inclined to review that because obviously you won already, so you did enough to win. And then they shared Eichenwalde, which they lost on, and then they gave another New Junk City map where they gave up 3 minutes and 44. They say they gave up 3 minutes and 44 seconds of the match. Like, why would I review that, right? Like, you barely played 3 minutes and 44 seconds. Like the round starts at 45 seconds, so you played for 3 minutes and then you gave up. What's the point of reviewing that game? So the only one here, even though they mentioned they specifically struggle on Flashpoint, we're going to talk about Eichenwalde. Regardless, I still think the replay itself is going to be useful and interesting because it's not just that you make gold level mistakes, right? It's that you often put yourself in positions where you've already lost, but you don't know it because of mistakes you already made. So for example, let's say a tracer's pushing you, trying to kill you, you miss a sleep dart, and the tracer kills you. You're like, okay, well I lost because of the sleep dart miss, maybe, right? But let's just use that as a hypothetical example. And then you can draw a direct line of causation between missed ability caused me to die. And that's straightforward and that's easy. And I think that for a lot of players, they can identify a lot of mistakes that look like that. I think that as you start climbing in the ranks, some of your mistakes become less obvious because the line of causality is not so clear. You might have lost the fight because of something you did 5 or 10 or 15 seconds ago, and now you're like, okay, now I'm screwed. So for example, let's say you're one of those Ana players that misinterprets what Awkward said, and you just throw out sleep darts all the time, right? Like literally off cooldown, you pop it right away. Whether or not it's going to do anything, you just pop it immediately. Then 10 seconds later, the tracer pushes you and then you die, and you're like, well, what could I have done? Well, you could have slept the tracer, but I didn't have sleep darts on cooldown. Well, you wasted the sleep dart 10 seconds ago. That's why you didn't have sleep dart. That's a good example of like, hey, look, something straightforward where it's like, well, you died because you didn't have something on cooldown because you wasted it on the previous usage. So in this game, we're going to see how your positioning and staggering, I would say those two things, are really killing you in terms of like being able to make the fights competitive. Okay? So we're gonna cover defense specifically, since you're like, hey, look, that's the one you have trouble with. I think there's probably plenty on offense, but just since you asked for defense, we're gonna cover defense. So looking at Eichenwalde right here, the most common spot for Anas to play on basically every single map is the long angle. Okay, so if you imagine that the enemy team is pushing in from this direction, okay, your team is situated over here, what is the long angle? The long angle is this spot right here where you have a lot of distance. All right, now what is the alternative? Well, it's what you're doing over here. So you're playing over here is kind of the short angle. There's all the short angles, but like let's imagine this is the short angle. We can see the yellow line is clearly shorter than the black line. Okay. Now, what this means is that when the enemy starts pushing in, they can very quickly get on top of you. Right? It's very easy, for example, like Genji Dash, Tracer Blink, right? For them to get on top of you very, very quickly. Even something like Orisa Spin could get on top of you really fast. So short angles mean that the fights happen at much closer angles, and it's harder for you to get away from them, which could be good if you're a short range hero. Like on a Reaper, I want to play the short angle. The whole point is that I want to fight someone at close range, right? If I'm someone like Ashe or Widow, I don't want to play short angles. I want to play the long angle to make it harder for them to get close to me. So Anas, overwhelmingly on this map, on this point, are going to set up over here. Because this is a long angle, because Ana is a medium to long range hero. Okay? Your scope shots are all hit scan, so they work at any range, and there's no damage fall off, which is super, super rare. That's the only scoped hero I can think of in the game that doesn't have damage fall off. So you are equally effective at kind of all these ranges. The only difference is that your sleep dart and grenades are projectiles, as is your unscoped shot. And if you're farther away from a fight, it can be harder to land those shots, and it can take longer to arrive, which can be a difference between life or death. So, as a general rule, Anas will be situated over here at this corner. And after you lose this bridge fight, then you back up towards the backside of point, and then you play from there, right? And it can be very dynamic depending on who's alive and how many you killed and et cetera, and what you actually should do from there. But as a general rule, I think you should absolutely set up right here, not here, right? Don't set up here, right? You want to set up right there as the position. So now we talked about that from the perspective of being able to see the enemy, preventing them from getting on top of you, and for you to generally do your job. There's another aspect of this, which is Ana is not an off-angle damager, right? You are not an Iyari, you are not, let's say, a Zenyatta, you are not even a Kiriko. You generally want to play in a position where you can see your teammates and you can see the enemy. That way you can make good decisions between healing your teammates or damaging the enemy. What is the problem with this spot over here? You can't see your teammates. The only person you can see here is your Orisa. Now, granted, it's good to be able to see a tank. I think that's generally good. But stuff is going to happen to the backline. Like, it is very unlikely that your tank is going to die first. Okay? Like, you have a tremendous ability to keep your tank alive. What usually ends up happening is it's not the tank that dies first, it's someone in the backline, which destabilizes everything, and then the tank ends up dying. Okay? Especially with Ana, you have so many tools to keep your tank alive. You can sleep the opposing heroes, you can grenade and spam heal your tank, you can grenade the enemy and force them to go back. Like, you have a lot of abilities to be like, look, I'm just going to change the nature of the fight right now. But you can't save, for example, your Bastion here, or your Cassidy, or your Yari, if you're playing all the way over here, right? You need to be playing with your team. If anything, your Yari could be playing on the side, but like that's not really necessary, especially at the start. It gets a little complicated. But I think the short answer is it's really important for you to be over here. So let's kind of watch as this fight's going to progress. Okay, like your angle's not particularly important, but notice it, like you can't really see or do anything, but that's okay because they're still coming up right now. Now we run forwards, and what do we do here? We're just chilling. Okay, it's fine, right? Now we're looking. Okay, so we know there's a hog. That's fine. I think you already knew there's a hog probably from the previous match. So we're playing on this side, which is great. If you were playing like basically any other off support, right, as opposed to main support, which is different than flex support and main support for the record. I use my own terminology because I think it's much more useful for ranked. But if you're playing anybody who is not like my primary job is keeping my team alive, this would be great. I think if you swap places with your Yari, I think this would be excellent. Playing right here though, the problem is your Orisa is going to have to back up. So tanks, and I think if you play tank, you understand this. Tanks cannot safely stand here. There is no spot here that a tank can stand where they will not ultimately get forced out. The reason being is tanks are really big, so they can get shot from here, they can get shot from here, they can get shot from here. So there's no safe spot for someone to stand where they can just actually sit there and recover all their health. They need to retreat either this way, which is bad because then the enemy pushes in and then they're cut off, right? At that point, you just die. Or they have to retreat back this way. But notice that if they retreat this path, let's call this path number 1, you can't help them anymore. And suddenly you've broken LOS and your ability to keep your tank up is reduced. This is what happens right now. So the second this happens, your chance of winning this fight, though let's say it's 50-50 to start, right? Your chance of winning this fight has gone from 50-50 to like 40-60. The second this happens. And I know it seems so subtle and weird, but you're like, oh, okay, well, but why? I mean, theoretically, we should still be able to do something out of this. The problem here is your Orisa already used Fortify, you have no ability to heal, you also have no ability to damage, certainly not, even the Hog was visible here, damaging the Hog is not going to change the fight. Your Cassidy doesn't need healing. So you're now relying on your Yari to keep all of these heroes alive, and you don't have any clean angles. So for example, if the Hog goes over here to the left, and like hook somebody, you can't do anything about that. If the Hog goes to the room on the right and hooks somebody, you can't do anything about that either, right? Because you have no angle. So this little thing, this moment right here has now reduced your chance of winning this fight. Not catastrophically, but it's going to get worse. So from here, notice we see, hey, look, there's 2 people who are dinged up right now, right? So we are here, we need the Bastion. So what are you going to do? Well, you can't do anything, right? So see, like you pop one heal on the Orisa and you're like, oh shoot, I need to rotate. So now your Cassidy's low, and you see your Bastion is critical, which means your Bastion can't do anything anymore, right? Your Bastion even has a Soul Form, but he can't do it because he's not getting healed. And he's not getting healed because the Yari is healing the Orisa, which should have been your job to begin with. So now you're rotating over here and you're like, oh shoot, okay, now you should be looking for a sleep dart. As soon as that hook went off, sleep, right? As soon as hook goes, sleep. Don't check whether or not he hit the hook or not, because by then it'll be too late for your sleep dart to arrive, and if he hooks a squishy, they'll be dead anyway. Sleep right away to give anyone a chance of staying alive, right? So, regardless, okay, you throw the grenade, fine. Hog's not gonna die here. Even if the Hog does die, it's like not a big deal. He'll just come back. He has short spawn. Remember, they have short spawn. Their spawn's right here. A death only costs them like 15 seconds. Your spawn is all the way over here, right? So you need to make sure to play perfectly on defense and not take risks unnecessarily. But now you're trying to chase after the kill. Again, look at the fact that there's 3 heroes here who are critical health. There 2 are critical, 1 is discorded, right, with no fortify and getting perked down. You're trying to kill the Hog right now. The Hog has no chance of dying. Right? This Hog has 188 health. You have to land 3 darts here to kill him. It's not going to happen. Just go back. You need to rotate back already to get healing. 1, 2, 3 critical health heroes. Your job needs to be healing right now. Okay? I know people are like, damage, but right now, you have no eligible targets. Nobody could possibly die right now that you could shoot. Heal your teammates. Because what's going to happen here is that you are already going to lose this fight because of the sustain problem. Like, they don't even need to land any ability. If they just walk into your team, you lose because your team doesn't have any health. Right? Like, that's the critical thing, is that your chance of winning has now gone from 40-60 to probably like 25-75, because again, as soon as this Hog heals up, which will be pretty quick, they just walk into you and then you die. Like, your whole team falls apart because you have no health. So, you come out here. I would note right now is your aim is going to be a problem. I think you could get back into low plat, but above that, you're going to run into huge problems. So, you can never flick and miss this much on a hero. Like, this is a huge miss right there. So, your sensitivity is probably too high, would be my guess. But beyond that, you can also use your movement to make it easier to land shots. Okay, so let me put the crosshair in the middle of the screen to show you. So this crosshair's right here, right? So instead of, if I'm coming over here, right? Instead of flicking to the left and maybe going too far, you can just walk the crosshair over the target and then fire, which is much more consistent. It's a little bit of a crutch because it takes longer to do, but if you time it up correctly and you're already moving after your first shot, there can be little to no downtime, and sometimes you just really need to land a shot, right? Even at high levels, people do this all the time to use like their movement to make aiming easier. Okay, so we're facing forward right now. I would note that your team spent a lot of time re-healing everybody, okay? So if you notice, your Orisa has already used Fortify here. Now, your Orisa uses Fortify because she is low. Right? She's at 357 and she pushes this. To be fair, she shouldn't be pushing this, right? But everybody makes mistakes. It's really hard as tank to know what the heck's going on because you're always facing forwards and the rest of your team is behind you. So your tank is pushing forward here, trying to maintain space, probably trying to prevent somebody else from getting hooked. So your Orisa's low. If your Orisa's at 700 health instead of being at 350, she probably doesn't pop Fortify here. But because she pops Fortify, you're probably going to lose this fight because you are too late in this rotation where you have to rotate across over here, right? It just takes you too long to get over here where you could have done 300, 400, 500 health worth of healing by the time like you walked over here from the right side. You staying on the right side didn't give you any value. So again, Orisa's low, Fortify's used. Nothing you do about that, Zen just blew up the ERA, right? But now we're reloading. Again, because you were late rotating, you had been spending all your 15 ammo doing all the heals right now. Which means at this moment in time, you have no ammo left. Versus if you showed earlier, you could have healed everybody up, reloaded, and have ammo right now. This is a great example of past mistakes have cost you your ability to win the fight now. Okay? A higher ranked Ana would not be reloading at this moment in time because they were out of ammo. They already have kept everybody topped up and have at least 7 darts right now, and it wouldn't be an issue. But with the Orisa right here, understanding, as soon as I see right now, okay, the Orisa's backing up, I now start stepping forwards. And I know this feels insane, but with game sense comes the ability to read what is going to happen in the game. Your Orisa has just used up her Fortify, and there's a very strong chance that she's going to get hooked. So I'm going to step forwards here and look, hey, because I'm trying to get an angle for the Roadhog. If the Roadhog goes to the hook, I can sleep right away, and then maybe give my Orisa a chance to survive, right? Because I absolutely have to. I have Grenade coming up. So even my Orisa gets pulled in, I throw Grenade, I heal the Orisa, right? And then she backs off, and she has spin, we probably live, and we stall this out. But with you not stepping forward right now you have no angle for the sleep dart. Grenade is, right idea, but it's too late and it's too far. Because even if she wasn't dead by the time it's reached, I'm pretty sure the grenade would miss. Yeah, see? The grenade would have missed her, wouldn't have hit her, collided with her body. This grenade's off target no matter what. And from here, you have no chance of winning the fight. Right? Now you're down 3-2. So, regardless, we're looking at one fight here and a series of mistakes that have led to this point. That's okay. So for context for viewers, you have to get the enemy team has to push all the way through first and then second and go all the way here, and this is the point, right? So they have to hold here in order to win. So you still have at least 3 more fights here. 3 to 4 more fights to kind of, get control of the game, get a hold, right, and play on. You're now going to make your worst mistake yet. So the correct move is to leave the point. Okay, there's really nothing you can do here, right? You're down 2 players, just heal your Cowski and just leave. Okay, I would stay here. You cannot save the Cowski. Like, you see, like as soon as the Roadhog steps up, like what are you gonna do? Nothing. Right? You can even use your abilities already, so like even if you stay here, it's not like you could sleep or grenade, not that it would save them anyway. The Cowski is dead. You need to run. And when I say run, you need to run all the way back. You need to like leave. Because you do not want to get staggered right now. A really, really important part of Overwatch is understanding, do I fight here, or do I die, or do I get away? And if you are ever in doubt as to whether or not you can get away successfully, just die. Deaths mean very little when the fight is already decided. Okay? It's a very, very common thing for players, especially in metal ranks, to believe that staying alive matters when the fight is over. You have lost 3 people on your team. Before that, 2 people on your team, including your tank. You have no way of winning this fight. It is okay. It is 100% okay to just simply walk forwards and die right now. Okay? If there is any doubt that you can get away from this successfully, you should just suicide. Because if you try to get away and then you die, you're going to be massively staggered, and you're going to skip one of the fights that will happen in this game. And what do I mean by skipping fights? So hopefully, I find it maybe unlikely that you've seen any of my stuff, but one of the things to talk about is every single map has a certain number of fights, okay? First fight on Eichenwalde happens here. 1.5, right? Because it's a hybrid map, so often you don't get the second fight. So this is fight number 1. This is 1.5, we're gonna say. Sometimes you get this fight, sometimes you don't, depends on how many people die. Then you get the next fight here, right? This is definitely for sure fight number 2, and then this, right? Somewhere over here is going to be fight number 3, maybe fight number 4. Again, it depends on whether or not, like, how what happens here. But every single point that is not the first point of hybrid has at least 2 fights, sometimes 3. I say Eichenwalde, you often get 3 fights because it's a very, very long point on second. So we're looking to redeem ourselves with this fight and maybe this fight. Okay, so again, that's like roughly 3 more fights. If you stagger yourself, there will be no fight here because you will be dead and your team won't be able to pull it off without their main support. See, try to keep the Bastion alive. There's no way. You can't look at this Bastion and think, hey, this Bastion's gonna do something. A's already discorded, B's already low, C, you know there's a Roadhog walking at him. The Roadhog could literally just hold heal. A bronze Roadhog could survive here just by holding heal, right, and just walking up to him and be like, okay, cool, and like not shooting him, and the Bastion still dies. There's no way. You need to have the game sense to understand this Bastion will not give you any value here. It is over. Just leave. Even the Bastion gets a kill here. It doesn't matter. You're still going to lose. Let's say hypothetically, the Bastion suddenly does 1,000 damage a second, kills the Roadhog, and then dies. Do you think you solo are going to stop 4 heroes? No, obviously not. There's no chance. Even if the Bastion kills 2, you still can't win this. If the Bastion kills 3 people, you'd still have to 1v2 2 heroes to win this point. Like, that game sense needs to be there, right? If you want to climb, you understand, hey, what is going to happen here? What's the realm of possibility? This Bastion's going to do nothing, right? So just leave. But the problem is, you see how you're late leaving, and the Roadhog's doing the correct thing, which is trying to chase you down. So you can hear this coming, so you need to get ready to either A, just be like, hey, look, forget it, just suicide, or B, try to sleep him when it's up. I would note that if you die before the point is capped, you will be able to respawn, right, with a faster time and or at the forward spawn. So this is the kind of the worst of all worlds, right? You tried to get away, right, and then you get hooked, and then you die. I will note here, I would also say that you completely missed this grenade on a hog at point blank. This can't happen. Just throw it at the ground, right? Just throw it at the ground. You're definitely not going to die. And maybe your RR saves you, maybe Javelin, like maybe, you don't die here if you land the grenade. But you miss the grenade, right? And now you're super low, and then you're end up dying. Again, landing grenade there would have been enough. But I would say that this mistake of dying here is worse than any of your teammates' mistakes because it is the most preventable and required the least amount of game sense to understand that all you had to do was either suicide on point or leave right away once your Roadhog died. Right? Once your Roadhog died, it was over. Like, there's nothing to do. Just leave. Leave completely. Leave all the way back to your spawn if you have to. This fight is devastating because now your team doesn't have a support. So we're going to reset. Okay, so now you're walking back out. So, again, because you are not here, right? The Roadhog is able to get this clean exit, and now we see that the Orisa is able to pop cooldowns over here, and now you're finally in position at this moment in time, and you see that because you are late, there are 3 heroes here that are critically wounded. because you were not here. Again, if you just walked back, you could have rejoined your whole team. You would have kept everybody alive. The Roadhog would probably be dead by now. But you were late. Okay, throw a grenade. Grenade's good, right? Unfortunate that you missed the shots. I think your Orisa is trying to follow up here. Again, your Orisa doesn't die here if you had been alive earlier because you would have been the heal. But she doesn't get hooked, so like, you know, what can you do about that? Because you have no angle here to sleep. All right, I think missing the dart there on the soldier is unfortunate, but okay. You trade out the Zen. I think the sleep was never going to work, but fine. I think missing 2 darts, 3 darts there is bad. And like that's the thing, it's like that's a threshold. Like if you want to play at higher ranks, your aim needs to be better. You can't miss 3 darts on a soldier who's just walking forwards and backwards. This is really rough. Okay, your team manages to clean it up, fine. Great. So, but again, lucky, right? You weren't there for the first half of that fight. You did not deserve to win that fight because you literally weren't there due to a mistake of your own. But sometimes your team carries you, and that's okay. So, Zen's way out in the open. You missed another 2 darts here, so accuracy is clearly a problem. So, I will note here, right there you hear the Roadhog footstep. So, what does that tell me? If I can hear the Roadhog footstep out of my right ear, it means that he must be somewhere in this stairwell / this doorway. Okay? Which means I now need to be aware, look, is he going to hook somebody? It's even worse because there's actually a trap there, but you don't see the trap go down. So, look, you try to kill Zen, fine. 1 dart to the Cassidy, and right now I turn to the right away. Because again, you've heard the Roadhog, so look there and get ready to sleep. But you see that instead of reacting to that audio cue, you're still trying to heal the Cassidy, and then your Tracer ends up dying. Now, maybe you could have saved the Tracer. I think sleep probably would have been enough, but Grenade definitely would have saved her. And in case Tracer's being greedy, trying to not use Rewind here. Right. She should have Rewind right here. But if you throw the grenade, maybe it's a save, right? But you have options here, right? You're just too slow and too inefficient with all of your actions, which makes it really hard for you to do things like when they're actually needed. Okay, the other dies here. I don't think you could have done it. I don't think you have an angle. Yeah, you don't have an angle to heal her. Alright, try to kill Zen, which I think actually is the right call here. I think this grenade's not going to work because the card's in the way. Yeah, exactly. Your goal right now is, hey, look, get a pick if I can, but otherwise keep my Orisa alive. Right? Because my Orisa dies here, like this card is going to move all the way over to here uncontested. So I really need to make sure my Orisa stays alive. Right? We do have some options. Orisa's ultimate, Cassie's ultimate. Like there is a potential that we can make plays, or at least force ultimates here. But shooting the Roadhog is 100% your worst option right now. Alright, so Trance gets popped. So Orisa's getting kind of low here. So Fortify gets popped. She's getting really low right now. You should strongly consider nanoing right now because, like, what are we waiting for? Right? Now she's extremely low and discorded. The Orisa has 114 health here, right? Taking into account Fortify and Discord, she's probably at, like, effectively 150 health. Okay? That is, like, basically instant death for a tank. No one's going to miss her at this point in time. Visor's even popped right now. I think you have to nano here to give yourself any chance of being able to contest in the situation. Granted, like, it is a 3-on-5 situation, but, like, you're already in a bad spot from the fact that you lost 2. I think nanoing here, then following up with a grenade right away over the top, probably get you at least 1 kill, if not 2 kills here. And then your Orisa can maybe use ultimate and try to stay alive or get a kill. So, like, you've got options. Letting her die right now is a problem. It's not as bad as your previous mistake of staggering, but it's definitely a problem. Because in my head, I think as soon as the Orisa dies, I'm like, okay, fine, this sucks. We have to now suicide, so that way I will respawn with my Orisa, come back out, and we will fight one last fight over here, where I can use Nano to get out of the doorway. Okay? That's gotta be the plan right now. But what do? You try to stay alive. This is bad, right? There is a possibility for a big play here, right? Dart, grenade, dart, dart, and you kill the Zen or the soldier in the situation. But you're taking a massive risk to do so, and your aim has to be perfect. Should have fired the dart first. But, like, why not continue to try to get this kill? At this point, it's all reward, like, no risk. Because if you die here, great. Then you just respawn with your team. Try to kill the soldier right now, right? The soldier is at 117. Double dart here kills him. Just go for it. Like, visor or not, just go for it. Soldier does about 175 damage a second, right? So with visor and perfect aim, assuming no headshots, it's still going to take you about 1.3 seconds to kill you. Just try to kill him. Just, like, literally, you're playing time, just shoot him twice. This is 100% worth it. But, like, you give up here because you are playing your life. And I understand, because that's the general rule to have climbed up to this point is, hey, try to stay alive, try to stay alive. But the problem is, as I mentioned earlier, if the fight is over, it doesn't matter whether or not you're alive or not. Just suicide, or try to get some value or anything, like at this point in time. But you trying to stay alive, what's the plan here? Okay? If they chase you down, you have no way to escape as Ana, right? You have no reasonable escape. You could try to camp here until your team comes back out, but it's really hard because you can't nano from that far away, so you have to get somewhat closer. You have to constantly worry about somebody sneaking up on you, like the Zen, who doesn't have any footsteps. It's just very dangerous. But like, if we're at this point, trying to go for this play, I would say this is incredibly dangerous what you do right here. This is a very easy hook. As a reminder, everyone on low ground can hear you walking. At higher ranks, they will all know exactly where you are. Like, it is... People at high rank are so good that if I was playing Roadhog, I would know the exact moment to throw the hook right now before even seeing you. Because it's like very obvious. Like if you are good at audio, which you will be to get higher ranks, you will know exactly where people are through walls if they are making noise. So you should have been hooked and killed right here or blown up by the Zen orbs. Regardless. Okay, fine. What is your plan right now? Like, let's think about this. There's 5 people on cart, right? They're not giving up they're not taking high ground from you. So what's your plan? Okay, fine. Just stay alive. At this point, if you suicide, it's too late, right? If you suicide, by the time you get back, this fight will have already happened and the game will be over. So if they're not going to force me off high ground, then let me use this alternate angle, stay alive. Do not take any risks. I'm not going to be able to kill anyone anyway, because there's 2 supports here. There's no way I can kill anyone right now, unless I get a very lucky grenade and like triple tap. So just stay alive. Number 1 thing has to be stay alive. Number 1 thing has to be stay alive. You have to stay alive. How can you die here? All right? This is not a moment in time where you can die. You have to understand spatial awareness. Where can I possibly get shot from? There are 5 enemies here. I am burning. Okay, I walked to cover. This part is good. Can I get shot from here? I cannot, because there is a wall in the way. So all I have to do, unless it's a very small gap here, and you can walk to the left and make sure, is just walk this way, go get the mini, and come back. That's all I have to do. Do you know why you die here? You die because you jump. Right? That's why you die, is because of the jump. So as a general note, right? As a general note, do not jump when you are taking damage. Okay? Very, very common at low ranks is people are like, oh, I need to stay alive, I need to stay alive, I need to stay alive. So they're going to try to spam jump to try to be more evasive. Jumping makes you easier to hit, not harder. Okay? So I say it like in almost every single video, whenever I do something like, I would say below diamond, I pretty much always have to say, jumping makes you easier to hit, not harder. But in this scenario, it literally kills you, because you could have just walked away. Like, Dynamite won't have done enough damage to kill you. You just walk over here, get the mini, and you're fine. And you're totally good. And then you come back out here, right? Right? And then maybe you kind of duel the Baptiste a little bit, just like play super, super safe. But you see that the problem is, if I'm over here right now, how do I nano my Orisa, who I have to nano right now to get any chance of contesting the point? I can't. I'm too far away. Right? I have to get probably like over to here-ish before I can nano. But like, how can I get an angle here? I'd have to like jump over the top and try to jump over here or something crazy, or like jump and like try to airstreak back on, something insane to try to just get the nano off. But if you just died earlier, you would just regroup with your team and you'd be right here and you wouldn't have a problem. Just nano your Orisa, get out the door, right? And now we can test, and now you have a fight. But you don't have any fight here. There's no fight. Like, what? Tracer gets a triple kill here, right? Tracer gets a triple and you're still not gonna be able to win this. Yeah, I mean, this is tough. Grenade should have gone first. Also, this is a huge Sleep Darkness. This is actually, funny enough, a moment where I don't have it bound, but Ana's self-nano would actually be really useful here. Sleep the Roadhog, which obviously you should land. You should never miss tanks with Sleep Dark. It's just unacceptable. I would say even once you hit Diamond, I would say that people will basically never miss a Brawl Tank. Like, it's like 99% accuracy. You cannot miss Brawl Tanks. It's not a thing. Like, this close, this is literally 99.9% accuracy for Ana's at Diamond and above. So if your goal is, oh, you want to get Platinum, you want to keep going, like, you're going to practice your aim because you cannot miss this. Anyway, good moment to self-nano right there and try to contest on the point. But, like, realistically, there's a Bap here and the Bob. You're probably screwed no matter what. And nobody's responding. There's no chance. Just noting it. Okay, so, recapping, right? I want to emphasize, again, you need to know where you have to be. Right? You need to understand, look, should I be healing or should I be damaging right now? You need better accuracy. You need to more proactively deal with the Roadhog, because Ana is one of the best heroes in the game at dealing with Roadhog. right? And just constantly thinking, hey, like, when is he gonna hook? When is he gonna hook? When is he gonna hook? And just keep it thinking in your mind, right? Like, think like a roadhog. What's he looking for? What are the opportunities? When are people vulnerable? And get ready with the sleep darts and the grenades to help save, especially when there's no Kiriko on the opposing team. So looking for that stuff, but most critical of all, do not stagger. If the fight is over, just suicide yourself or definitively get out. The thing is, if you get out, right, the value that you gain from getting out versus dying is relatively little. Like, all you do is you don't feed 250 points of ult charge. That's it, right? Unless you're able to turn it around, like, and get people who are trying to chase you down or something like that. Right? Other than that, the vast majority of the time, all you do is deny 250 points of ult charge. It's not a big deal. It's really not. Just make sure not to stagger. Like, if you play at higher ranks, if you stagger once in a game, it is a very, very strong chance that is going to influence the outcome of the game. Just one stagger in a game. And we just saw two massive staggers in the course of like 3 minutes of gameplay. You can't be doing this. Just die with your team. Stop worrying about your stats and how many deaths you have at the end of the game and focus on, hey, does this death actually matter? No, just kill yourself. It's fine. It's totally fine. Just go it. I feel like YouTube's gonna go after me for that statement. Just, it's okay to give up your life when the fight is already over. Alright? Okay. I'm out there. I'll post my usual honor resources as well. Hopefully this is helpful.